Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Knock On Podcast, brought to you by Zero Tackle. Dan, we had a magic round of Rugby League. All the games were exciting, bar one. We weren't let down too badly. Some big consequences have come out of Magic Round though. What have you got for us?
Certainly had, the first being, of course, the big news. The one that's dominating the cycle. Sounds like I'm setting up for something, but I'm not. Brad Arthur, sacked by Parramatta. Now, I'm going to ask you not to talk about replacements just yet, because we might touch on that a little bit further down. Spoiler alert. What do you think about how it was handled? What do you think about the decision? And, Trent Barrett. Well, what's your thoughts on the situation? Because I have plenty.
I don't love how this has been handled by Parramatta the more that you hear what's happened in the wash. And 3 weeks ago, they got him to front the media to say, everything was all right, I met with the board, I've got the full backing, I've got the full blessing, we understand there's injuries, etc., etc. In that time, they were negotiating with Wayne Bennett. And... Why? Why get him to go out there and say all these things and front the media and blah, blah, blah? And there have been multiple times this year where you could have sacked Brad Arthur for a shocking performance. But they sacked him on his birthday.
Yeah.
I think it's been handled poorly from Parramatta, and it just shows the shape of the club that's in at the moment. And you should have sacked him either a week before Magic Round or just give him this weekend. They're playing South Sydney. Let him go out on a high.
Yeah. Very true. I am glad you mentioned how bad Parramatta are running right now, because this is overall, it's an S storm, is what it is. Look, I think ultimately they've arrived at the right decision. Brad Arthur needed to be removed. He needed to be removed on October 1st last year, so a new coach could come in, fresh set of ideas, and this season wouldn't be wasted, which, let's face it, it's over. Their finals chances are gone. If they fluke an 8th spot, they get bounced by whoever sits 5th. Unless maybe it's Cronulla, who knows. It's done. It's wasted. All they've done in the last few weeks is come out and say that Arthur's got full support of the board. We're not looking around. He's our guy. They extended him fairly recently, maybe a year or two back now. It's on. Then they come out and say, oh no, he's gone, and we wanted Wayne Bennett, and Wayne Bennett told us no. Which to me also says, why would you go out there and tell your fans, hey, 1, we lied, 2, we made him lie, or whether he knew or not. And my honest thinking is he had no idea, because why would he show up and do that if he knew he was getting flicked? I would have given the big see you later. They've come out and said, we've lied, he's lied, or we've made him lie. Oh, by the way, Wayne Bennett said no, he took South Sydney, who were coming last. That's how much of a absolute S show we are right now. Mm-hmm. To come out the way they did it, they buried it. Magic Round, tried to get it under. They didn't. He's been out there for the past 48 hours by the time this drops, doing interview after interview, saying thank you for the opportunity. He's not bitter. He gets it. He's been there for a decade. Parramatta look like an absolute basket case right now, and they deservedly so. Now, I'm not going to cry any tears for Brad Arthur. I think he overstayed his welcome. But probably the year that they made the grand final got him a year that he probably didn't otherwise earn or deserve. And I know it sounds weird coming out of my mouth like that. But this was a bloke who should have been moved on probably 2 years ago. Let's be honest. When they finished last a couple of years ago. But they've given him the full backing. They've made him go out there and say that numerous times. They've come out and said, well, we've been looking at Wayne Bennett for the past 3 weeks. Meanwhile, he's come out shining after getting sacked for them not winning the game in 6 months, it feels like. That is how bad this club are going right now. Then they came out yesterday, and said that they have a squad that they believe can win a premiership, and they just need the right coach. This club needs to get a coach and make the right decision. And lastly, Trent Barrett, why bother?
Well, I mean, it's an interim coach, right? And the whole reason they've gone down the interim path is that Brad Arthur's payout is set to be somewhere around 7 figures, or just shy of 7 figures. So they probably don't have that expendable cash. sitting there at the moment for them to turn around and go, you know what, we'll go and pay someone. And also the coach that they probably have their eyes on now is contracted somewhere else. So this is going to take time. It's, you know, for example, say they're going for Jason Riles, who I've read is one of their top targets, and so it should be. Jason Riles is contracted elsewhere and needs to negotiate with his employers to gain a release. His employers may want some kind of financial compensation package in return. So this is going to be a long process for them. In the meantime, they have a interim coach sitting there, an assistant coach in Trent Barrett, who, look, didn't set the world on fire at Manly and was absolutely terrible at Canterbury, but he's been there as a head coach before. It's not as if they're sitting on the sideline of someone like, I don't know, anyone that hasn't been there before. So I think they could do no worse than go and knock on the door of Justin Holbrook and see what it would take to get him out of East next year. But yeah, look, Trent Barrett is what it is. So be it.
Now, moving on to the next, obviously everyone's talking about replacements now. Now, I've got something that I've written that will publish by the time this comes out, so let's discuss it, Terry. I'll throw some names at you. I want to get your thoughts. The first is Michael Maguire.
I honestly think that Michael Maguire should not take this job because it just reminds me too much of the West Tigers at the moment in the fact that they're making really, really poor decisions. Their juniors, you know, they've been telling us about this extreme talented crop of juniors for a very, very long time, and the squad is not really that good. It's aging and it's injury plagued. I think Michael Maguire should see how he goes with New South Wales first, and maybe try and coach them for a couple of years, and then get the right role for him.
Fair enough. The second one you mentioned before, Jason Riles, who I think is the front runner at this stage. He turned down the Dragons looking for the right role. Is this the right role?
I think for any coach coming through now, I think they need to do their homework on what they're doing and what they're getting themselves into. And Jason Riles is at Melbourne right now as we speak, right? So he will be able to run his eyes over, you know, all the opportunities that are going to be coming up. And, you know, like Craig Fitzgibbon, Craig Fitzgibbon knocked back 4 opportunities before he went to Cronulla. Andrew Webster, went to New Zealand because he felt that was the right place for him to go and learn to be a coach. You don't just want to jump in because the job's available. And I honestly feel that the Eels need to get someone who is experienced and, you know, shake that club upside down.
Yep. Fair enough. The next one I've got is John Morris.
I don't think there's enough experience for John Morris. It's not a bad shout, but if I'm Parramatta, I'm probably going the path of Jason Riles over John Morris.
Fair enough. What about Sam Burgess, who has the Wolves humming at the moment in England? Not afraid to make the big calls. He said what he said at South, and, you know, largely he's been proven at least partially correct.
This feels like it would be too early for Sam Burgess to come back. I would like to see him get 2 or 3 seasons of experience in Warrington or Wigan or, you know, move to St Helens, wherever it's going to be. I know Warrington are a big club over there as well, so see if he can get a premiership or a Challenge Cup. And then not just return back on the coattails of one season. I'd like to see him do it for multiple seasons before he comes back and tests himself in the NRL. And with that, I think that he will do that for the next 3 seasons and end up back at South Sydney.
Yep, look, completely fair. Look, the name you mentioned, Justin Holbrook, who I have as third.
Justin Holbrook, for mine, is the coach that I think Parramatta should go and nail on a 2-year deal tomorrow.
Yeah, and two left to centre ones. The first one's Luke Burt, who has Burleigh Bears leading the comp. He did go 0-8, I believe, or 0-7 at the Titans. Look, I'm gonna call a spade a spade. Craig Bellamy couldn't have got that team to win. They were absolutely rubbish.
When did Luke Burt coach the Titans?
It was around 2000. They were disgusting. It was a last minute thing. It was a bridge. He was the assistant.
Luke Burt was still playing for Parramatta in 2000.
Oh, 2020 rather.
I'm having a look. Yeah, Gold Coast Titans. He had 8 games in 2019 and lost all of them. Look,
Club legend.
The only thing there is they went and got that next shiny coach with Brad Arthur. I don't know if Luke Burt's going to do it. I completely forgot that he was playing. That he was a player. I forgot all about him. No.
Fair enough. And last but not least, you want to talk a bloke with experience, someone who's dealt with the highest profile job of anyone.
If you say Jeff Tuvey, no.
I'm not saying Jeff Tuvey. Michael Checker.
Look, left of centre, experience, hard, very, very hard. Not a bad shout as well. I'd probably put him in a top 3 candidate.
I've discussed all of them, and I think there's 3 or 4 really good ones there, and a few that look. These top candidates might tell Parramatta to take a hike. Let's be totally honest. So they may not end up with who they want, but they have to sell this club. And look, if Michael Checker is serious about coming to coach Rugby League, Parramatta need a bloke who can deal with the media, because the media's in his pocket every single day for the next 6 months, and a bloke who doesn't need to be mates with the players. Put it that way. I think we've learned from his law.
This is the situation that Parramatta find themselves in. They're bottom 4 in the NRL. They're second last in Jersey Flag, and their New South Wales Cup team, I'm pretty sure, is 8th. They are 8th in a 13-team competition, so they are missing finals as well. There's not much for you to get really excited about, and on the player market as well, it's very dry and very bare, and I don't see someone doing a Zac Lomax anytime soon to fall over themselves to sign for Parramatta.
Fair enough. One man who is unavailable is Wayne Bennett after officially signing with South Sydney. 3-year deal, $3.6 million. Look, on the surface, this makes the world of sense. But we've seen Wayne Bennett leave, 3 clubs in disarray, and it turns out that the one club that he left with a succession plan, was Wayne Bennett. Yeah,
look, it was like Tim Sheens interviewing himself and figuring out that Tim Sheens was the best man to do the job. I don't begrudge Souths for going back to Wayne Bennett. I think Demetrio did okay. Let's face it. He made the finals, made a prelim in his first year, and then injuries and suspensions and players leaving and probably not strengthening in areas that they should have strengthened, and going to get Jack White when it was clear and evident you needed a halfback. I like it. For the next 3 years, like South Sydney, they needed to do something different. I think they'll sweat on Sam Burgess becoming an elite coach, and I think that'll be the succession plan there for South Sydney. Getting Wayne Bennett back, look, he's arguably the greatest coach of all time. If anyone can get them to bounce back, it's going to be him. He came out and said that he loved the club, he loved the place. It's the only Sydney club that he wants to coach. Fair enough. Good on him.
Yeah.
He got a nice superannuation bump as well.
Certainly did. It's a nice romantic thing. It really is, to bring him back. And, we thought he was going to retire at South, and the Dolphins came along. Well, it turns out he's going to retire at South. Maybe. Mm-hmm. Who knows? Maybe he'll coach New Guinea when they come in a couple of years. Who knows? It's Wayne Bennett. But, look, South had no... The board just... They bottled the last 8 to 12 weeks. That last year went belly up. They didn't address it. They signed terribly. They've extended players. Their back line, I know they've got injuries, but every team has got injuries. Their next man up is not good. Anyone that can get the most out of them, it's, of course, Wayne Bennett. I like it, but also, if they're 12th this time next year, what do you do? Do you go, oh, Wayne Bennett needs the 3 years to turn us around? Or do you go, oh, we made a mistake here, we should have gone earlier? I think it's an all-or-nothing play, and it has to work for them. So if it doesn't, they're all going to look like flips.
Yeah, look, it's an all or nothing play, and I think the whole situation is you call this year a write-off. You hope you get some players back from injury next year. You hope that Wayne Bennett can attract some of those players. He's had his eyes cast around Queensland Cup, see if he can get the next couple of big stars to come down. But South Sydney always seem to find some money for a player if anyone disgruntled comes on the market. But the first thing for him is find a halfback and sign him. Wouldn't surprise me if someone like Cody Nikorima followed him down from the Dolphins.
Probably not a bad shout. Now, they've been linked with Angus Crichton, who's a fantastic player, but absolutely not what they need right now. There's some big decisions to be made, mate. I dare say that a few players who were sitting on some big money are going to be fairly nervous now that Bennett's been named. So. Now, one player that won't be going, or maybe won't be going to South Sydney, that's Zac Lomax. I tweeted the other day, tongue-in-cheek, but a little bit serious, that Lomax might David Fafita the deal. Those who don't get the reference, he might back out and try and renegotiate elsewhere, Roosters, or perhaps even stay with the Dragons, who have turned around, a little bit since he signed away. Since come out that, well, he had a clause, he requested a clause that said if Brad Arthur gets sacked, I'm a free agent, I get to renegotiate. They said no, probably knowing that they were already talking to Wayne Bennett by that time, which to me says they've negotiated in bad faith. You can find a way out of contracts which mean very little, especially when they haven't officially started yet. If I'm a Parramatta fan, I'm worried because Zac Lomax is going to be looking at that place and thinking, geez, I'm leaving a basket case for a worse one.
Yeah, that's the thing though. When it came out, when Parramatta came out and said they needed to have a sit-down discussion with Zac Lomax, to me that says Zac Lomax has been on the blower to them and said that he doesn't want to stay, he doesn't want to honour that deal. If I'm Zac Lomax, I'm looking at the situation I'm in. I'm at St George, and I don't think they're going to win a premiership anytime soon. Parramatta, I don't think they're going to do anything anytime soon. And whilst I still don't think the Roosters are going to do anything anytime soon, if they've got some money and they come knocking on the door, that's the deal that I'd be taking. I honestly and personally hope that Zac Lomax, though, has the integrity. He kicked up the stink to get out of the Dragons to go to the Eels, and I will be extremely, extremely disappointed if he turns around and goes, "Oh well, no, I'm not going there now because the coach got sacked." You don't go and play for the Parramatta Brad Arthurs. You're going to play for the Parramatta Eels. You're paying for the badge, the community, the fans. That's where you've wanted to go. If you want to align yourself to a coach, Shane Flanagan's won a premiership. Mm-hmm. Brad Arthur's won nothing. The bloody Nines title that they won got stripped, and he didn't even coach that. This is the thing. If you want to align yourself with the coach that you've got is pretty good. Mm. He did what no other coach in 50-something years of rugby league has been able to do, and that's win a premiership with Cronulla. He knows what he's doing. He told you that you were one of the best wingers in the competition. You weren't a very good centre. He's right. Go and align yourself with him, or go and stick it out at Parramatta.
Very, very true. Look, if I'm Lomax, I'm thinking, geez, that Roosters left centre spot's open, and Angus Crichton's probably going to re-sign. I think he made a mistake signing for Parramatta, but it's one he's got to honour. Because if he pulls out now, why would the Roosters go and sign him knowing that he'll probably pull out in 3 weeks? Or why would a team that needs a superstar to build round, why would the Dragons take him back? They might say, no, we got rid of you in your $900K contract. Mm-hmm. We're not paying a winger $900K. We're going to reinvest elsewhere. So yep. I think he's got, if I'm a Para fan, just relax. I think Zac Lomax is coming. But the fact that discussion's out there, Terry, says to me that something's happening behind the scenes. Yeah,
the other thing as well, if I'm St George and he wants to renegotiate, I'm turning around and saying, okay, your contract doesn't start with a 9, you'll be lucky if it starts with a 6.
Completely fair. Mm-hmm. Now, coming off Magic Weekend, which, everyone says the greatest thing in Rugby League, there's nothing like it, except Magic Round in England. Another concept that England run that we've had previously, that's a League Cup, the Challenge Cup. Now, we saw a couple of really, really good semi-finals this past weekend. My Wigan, of course, through to the final against the Sam Burgess-led Warrington Wolves, which is just going to be tremendous. That Challenge Cup is like a second grand final. I don't know, because I don't live in England, how prestigious it is. But judging by the fans that were there the other night, it's prestigious. By the way Wigan played, it's prestigious. And by the way that Sam Burgess and Warrington Wolves are going on, it's prestigious. Can you see a Challenge Cup, midweek cup, or some version of in Australia working?
No, not at all. We kick up a stink about Origin shutting down the season for however long. Can you imagine, just imagine, and I'll take Cronulla out of this for the moment, just imagine that Penrith draw Parramatta at Parramatta on a Wednesday night. Nathan Cleary does his ACL in a Challenge Cup game. They do it in England to drive revenue because there isn't money in the sport over there, and they rely on ticket sales to boost that revenue. The NRL does not require that cash injection. they're not worried about 6,000 fans turning up to Leichhardt Stadium. You know, if they had it at all the suburban fields, like if they played all these games at suburban fields, they're not worried about the fan base revenue on this. I can't see it working. And if Cronulla, if it does happen, I would hope that Cronulla run out the Newtown Jets.
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Kind of takes the fun out of the discussion. You're right. The reason it won't work is England have the tiered system, and there's a lot of teams in the lower. The Challenge Cup's their only real chance of getting on TV, and it's like the FA Cup. It's an Audi FA Cup. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
The Magic's in those early rounds where Wigan will send a team that's a reserve grade to play a second division team, and that second division team pushes them all the way, and that's their highlight for the season. So I love it. I love watching it the other night. I hope we can win it, but Cronulla could draw Newtown in round one or whoever. I would be okay if it worked like the FFA Cup, in that the big teams come in late and it gets boring when the A-League teams come in.
Could you imagine like D-Lar going into the first round and then just, drawing the Bulldogs on a Wednesday night? That would be sick, but no.
It will be. But, no, look, that's, we're just waiting on a special guest too. But look, I can't see it working, but it's something that I would like to see discussed. But ultimately, I think it'll end up like the Nines, where it becomes a reserve grade competition with a few stars here and there. Probably won't work, let's be honest. Now, for the next two segments, we're joined by a special guest. I reached out to some big stars, but unfortunately, Scott's the only one that got back to me. You may have seen his face on the website. He's my boss, so I probably shouldn't be talking about this, but Scotty, thanks for coming on, mate. I'm going to jump straight in. Tomorrow on Zero Tackle, or yesterday by the time this goes live, I would have named who I'm naming for the New South Wales bench, mate, but I want to throw to you, and then I want Terry's, and then I'm going to give you the correct bench. Keeping in mind that Connor Watson was ruled out about an hour ago with a throat injury and will not play Origin 1.
Yeah, shame that Connor Watson's out, because he would have been on my bench, I think, as a utility. I think probably instead of him now, I'm bringing McInnes in at 14. And then I'm going probably Utoi Kamanu. I'm going probably Liam Martin. I don't think he's starting for my side. And then I'm going one of Junior Parlow or Hudson Young. Depends on which way they want to play it.
Well, bad. Terry, as a Queenslander, mate, who do you not want to see on the bench is probably the bigger question.
I don't want to see someone like Sifa Talakai on the bench. I want to see someone like Liam Martin and his incredible 53 metres in 80 minutes that he had against the Warriors pack on the weekend, or, the 100 metres that he ran for across 3 games in Origin last year would just be absolutely sensational right now. If I was to pick the New South Wales bench, I'm picking Cam McInnes. Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt, he would be on the bench. They're going to do something dumb, New South Wales, like name Jake Turbo at prop. So that for me would then have Stefano Uduikamanu on the bench. Sifa Talakai is the next person that I would be having on that bench. And the last one would be Spencer Linu.
Completely fair. All right, I'm going to blow the internet up here, but so be it. I'm 100% convinced they're going to add Jake Travojevic. He's going to start with Dane Haas, which I think is a wrong move.
Yep.
I think that New South Wales are heavily outclassed, especially with the injuries. I think Queensland have got us 1-17. The one place we can get them is we have to bash them senseless, which means I'm starting Angus Crichton and I'm starting Olakau'atu.
That's who I have as
the...
And Liam Martin's not getting within Kui of this side because he's not the kind of player. Junior Paulo's not getting in because I don't want anyone that goes out there and goes about their work. I want animals. I want killers, through lack of a better term. We got to go out there and bash Queensland, which is why I am naming... Oh, this isn't going to go over well. Terrell May, I'm saying get out there, give us 20 minutes. I want to see your imprint on chess. I'm naming Paseka. I'm saying, mate, you're big, you're ugly, run hard and smash them. Mitch Barnett, same thing. Get out there and kill. And see us here for Talakai, because I'm a Queensland defender, I don't want to see Talakai, who burst through 3 or 4 top-class defenders for the Roosters this past weekend, just absolutely put them on their backsides and scores a try and gets up smiling at you. That's what I don't want to see come Origin 1.
I think three props is a bit of overkill, especially when you've got like Haas and Turbo and Yeo who take up so much of that grunt work and can play big minutes. 3 props is an overkill. I like the Terrell May shout. I had May or Linu, but I think Linu is a better player, and I think you've got to have someone like Cam McInnes on there just because Coruscant can't go 80 minutes.
I really like the Paseka shout. I think, he's, now I think about it,
Paseka's
he's
great
probably that, I would put him in ahead of whoever I had at 17 there, Young or Polo. I think Liam Martin is going to get picked. I probably agree with you. I don't think he deserves to be there, but I can't see him not being picked. He is, he's able to play middle or edge. And, for all his faults, I suppose he does have certain qualities that rugby league coaches like. I don't personally, but hey, here we are.
No, exactly right, and I sent you a team list that I think will be named, and not one of the 4 I named will win that side because I can't see it. I'm just of the opinion that Jake Turbo and Yeo can go out there and tackle, and not a lot much else, because Yo's the best lock in the game undisputedly, but not at Origin. He plays a ball-playing role that just doesn't work. Meanwhile, Pat Carrigan just eats raw meat for a week and goes out there and kills people. We need someone that can match.
We saw it in Origin 3 last year when Murray was able to start. The difference between him and Yo at Origin level, it's a massive blow for the Blues that Murray's out.
Yeah,
it's big. The problem is I would have named him in second row for mine. Look, this is a chance for Maguire to stamp it on his own and say, look, this is... And look, I fully expect Uti, Kamanu, Paulo and Martin to be named, and then probably McInnes. I would have had Connor Watson up till a couple of hours ago, because the simple fact that Appy Coruscant can't play 80 minutes in Origin, but I'd say to Appy, just tackle for 10 minutes and let someone else play. Talakai can play. He can just take the ball and do 10 hit-ups and then go rest again. We have to kill Queensland. But Scott, the reason I brought you on, mate, moving on to the last ones, I'm going to ask you first, then throw to Terry. The Dragons rebuild, mate. We're 10 games in now. How do you see where your team is sitting? Because we've made lots of fun, a little brother, little sister, for many years now.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're going to start getting some back?
Well, I've been on the receiving end of all that fun. Fun for you, not fun for me. But, yeah, look, things are slowly turning a corner. I think it's going to take time. I think, any Dragons fan would have told you pre-season this isn't going to be an overnight fix. Flanagan, obviously, has, he's brought in new standards around fitness, which was a massive requirement. Anthony Griffin didn't have it last year. The team were very unfit. You could see it week in, week out, where they just fall off tackles and let points in. And, Flanagan's a premiership winning coach. You guys are well aware of that. And I think, it will take time. It's going to take time to clean up this roster. There is deadwood in the roster. But in saying that, I think the new signings who have come in this year, as much as they were probably laughed at pre-season a little bit, there wasn't much there. I think Kyle Flanagan's been a good addition. He's playing, the only time he's ever played well's under his father, so he's playing okay. Ray Fatala-Mariner has been good. I've always thought he had potential. Didn't really realise it at Canterbury at times. Obviously, injuries held him back, but he's in as good a form as he has been in years. Tom Eisenhuth's the other one who's really impressed me in the middle, to be honest. Defensively, he's been very solid. Again, I think we're, certainly a couple of stars short of going that next step. But in saying that, I think, with time, I think Flanagan will have the coaching potential, or I don't know what word I'm looking for here, but he will be able to attract players to the club, I think, eventually. And I think, we will turn a corner. It's just going to take time.
Yeah, you have to have a look when Shane Flanagan was named as the coach of the Cronulla Sharks. The first 3 players that he went out and signed were Wade Graham, Jeremy Smith, and Colin Best. He went out and brought one of the best young players on the market, and he brought 2 journeyman veterans to come in and set new standards at the club. And luckily enough, he then, the following season, continued with his Mark Tafua. He got Andrew Fafita, and then he was lucky enough to get Todd Carney into the door as well and get that superstar. But after that, it was the same things again. It was people to come in and set the standards. Chris Hyington, Bo Ryan, Luke Lewis. Those guys come in. Eventually, Michael Ennis. So Flanagan knows what he's doing when it comes to rebuilding a roster. If you have a look at the current Dragons roster at the moment, he's got them punching above where they should be. I had them bottom 4 this year, and I think that he's got them fighting very, very well, and that they are fighting in games, apart from that Roosters game at the moment. They fight. I think you're probably looking at around about 2026 would be when you'd be looking at like a top 8 berth, and then 27, 28 would be getting up that ladder, securing the Shane Flanagan stands. This is a long-term project for Flanagan. It took him 5 years to really, really shine through at Cronulla, and I think if St George are patient, they've got the right man to do it as well. It's all going to come down to the Ben Hunt factor, and I was talking with a Titans fan the other day, and they said that one thing that they're worried about that the Titans are going to do is something stupid like accept Ben Hunt for Troy Weaver, and I think if you're the Dragons, you take 100%. That because you get rid of the contract and you get an Origin a junior Origin halfback straight away. So Flanagan's very shrewd in the player market, and he doesn't pay overs for players. We learnt that. Anyone who asked for $1 more than he was willing to give you, he didn't sign him.
I'm seeing a lot. I wrote this earlier. I've seen a lot of what I saw at Cronulla in this current rebuild. In that Zac Lomax is probably the biggest star there, and he said, "You're not a centre, you're a winger." He's been proven undisputedly correct. Lomax's best games have come on the wing. You know, if he'd stayed on the wing and kept a smile on his face, he's playing Origin. He may still get picked, but you know he's come back a little bit since moving back to centre, and it's been a bit disruptive. But he's pretty much told him, "Yeah, you want to release? Okay, see ya."
Yeah.
Whereas other coaches would have gone, "No, Zach, I'll put you back at centre. Like, you're our best player. I love you. You know, like, let me massage your feet. I apologise." Lomax, it's Flanagan said, "All right, see you later. Go to Parramatta. Go to that mess. You're their problem now." And he's freed up a better part of $1 million. Now, I've seen Dragons fans come out and say, "We can't spend that now." You don't have to spend that now. You've got months. And I guarantee you by this time next year, there's going to be a player like a Zac Lomax who's going to be going, "I kind of want to go play for the Dragons, or I just want to get out of where I am now." So I'm expecting some big moves in the next 2 years. I think he's got you guys way ahead of schedule because your squad now is so much better than the one he took over at Cronulla. I hate the fact that he's coaching you guys because I joke about I want it to be competitive. I don't. I want to beat you guys 100 times in a row. If you didn't put Flanagan in, I'd still be confident of that. I still am because Cronulla are years ahead. But I'm looking over my shoulder thinking, damn, here they come.
Yeah, I would like to think that's where we're headed on that same trajectory as you guys did when Flanagan took over the club, you know, before that 2016 premiership. As I said, some of the signings have really impressed, and you guys are right. We're way ahead of where most would have had us. Personally, I didn't have us probably as far back as most had us pre-season, but again, I'm looking at that through very biased glasses. So, you know, take that for what you will.
Yeah. I remember having that discussion with you on Twitter. You were pretty certain that you guys had like the 10th best roster, and I was like, Scott, I don't see it, man. But, you know, one of the things that you don't see is Shane Flanagan turning around and just moving these pieces, moving Michaeli Ravalawa, moving this person here, telling Zac Lomax he's a winger, getting Jaden Sewer back into Origin form, and Jesus, that guy is killing it at the moment, you know. Picking up a guy from Melbourne that wasn't needed in Tom Eisenhuth and getting him to go out and make 50, 60 tackles every week and doing it just like that without fuss. He'll get those workers into the team. Tom Eisenhuth just reminds me of the Jeremy Smith. Just go up there and clean up everything in the ruck. I think you've got a lot to look forward to. You just have to be patient. All the Dragons fans who want it now, because, you know, you're a big club and all that kind of thing, you've just got to settle, because when you try and rush it, you try and do it too quickly, you just end up like the Tigers.
Yeah, and that's where I actually, you know, don't mind the approach Flanagan's had. You know, bring in the right people, rebuild it slowly, get the right attitude at the club. From the outside looking in, it does look like a long-term strategy that's in play. And, you know, Flanagan, as you guys are fully aware, he's not going to rush this.
Hey everyone, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Knock On Podcast, brought to you by the legends at Zero Tackle. It is your one-stop shop for everything that you need on the NRL. It's got all the transfer rumours, it's got up-to-date player signings, it's got contract situations, all the breaking news. It has some of the best journalists, or independent writers I should say, on the market. And Scott, I have to ask you, why do you employ Dan?
Dan's great.
He is. What do you got coming for us this week, Dan?
Well, mate,
what can I not read tomorrow?
Well, I'm going to actually throw to Scott because I've sent him some absolute fire, and it's up to him when he publishes
It is my call. Dan, you've got your replacements for Brad Arthur coming tomorrow. That will be an interesting read. Obviously, big situation there.
That'll
at
make you popular.
Yeah, and of course, power rankings will follow it. Terry, I know you're a big fan of his power rankings.
Well, look, if it's anything like the NRL ladder, that's where I got to get my power rankings.
And then from a more site view, we have our Origin team predictions coming out Friday from the whole team. That will be a good read. I think there's some mixed views from what I've seen thus far across our team. And then we'll hit team selection Sunday night, Monday morning. Hard. It'll be good fun.
It'll be a fun week, but we'll be back next week with a guest host, which will be Scott. We actually brought him on tonight just to test him out and give him a bit of oof, because Terry right here will be off to Bali. So Fiji, rather. Terry, look, Fiji, Bali, doesn't matter. The fact is, I hate you, and I'll see you in 2 weeks' time.